Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Astral Sorcery. Top tips to help you get through this mod successfully. So with Astral Sorcery, there's a lot in this mod. I mean, heck, if you've seen my playlist, I have a ton of stuff. There are all these different chapters to go through. There's so much information, and there's so many different magical, wonderful abilities that you can potentially obtain that it's mind-boggling. Well, I'm going to help you from some of the simple tips to some of the more advanced, including a very productive build at the end here. But we're going to start off with the basics. And that is a little bit of a time saver. Just in your book here, if you want to look in your Astral Tome, if you want to look at one of the chapters, you just double-click. And it'll take you in. If you want to go back out, you just click on like the constellation tab, and then you can click back on the knowledge tab. It'll zoom back out. So you don't have to zoom in with your mouse wheel, because that can get a bit tedious after the first few times, and then you're like, oh my gosh, how many times do I have to zoom in with my mouse wheel? But it's not bad once you do that. And these tips are primarily going to be used for the newest version of Astral Sorcery, and that's version 1.8 and up of Astral Sorcery. That's not Minecraft. That's Minecraft 1.12.2. But other tips, and most of this, should still help those that are on an older version. Now, I have another example over here of something that will help people to understand. And that is that I have this luminous crafting table here. Now, if you look at it, I have almost half full on this altar. So if I go up to this next one up here and check it out, then you can see it's much higher. Well, if you look on the right side there, the Y level says 121 where I'm at. This is actually at Y level 120. And that is the maximum that you will need to go if you want to take advantage of the height to gain starlight. You don't have to go any higher. And in fact, the difference isn't too much. I mean, these are your entry level ones here. And you can see that, that you'll just gain like a quarter of one of these. If I were to use one of the advanced end game crafting tables for Astral Sorcery, like this iridescent altar here, the advantage is going to be extremely minimal. So just keep in mind that most of the time you don't have to take advantage of the height at all, but it can help you in a pinch if you just need that little extra bit at the beginning. On top of that, if you need to get some starlight into any of your altars, find yourself one of these massive shrines that are out there and take advantage of the collector crystal underneath. Just by placing down a crafting table, it should donate some kind of light bonus to it, though it is best if it's close by and still exposed to the sky. Any of the collector crystals or any of the altars will benefit best if they are exposed to the sky. So in this case, I have an opening above the collector crystal. So enough about that. Let's get into a little bit of starlight, liquid starlight. There are several kinds. I have 4 different examples of how you can obtain them. Actually, it's all the same kind. It's all liquid starlight. And you can obtain them primarily from 4 different materials. You've got your aquamarine here. You've got your resonating gems. You've got standard rock crystal or attuned rock crystal. And you've got your celestial crystal or attuned celestial crystal. Each one, as you go from left to right, is going to give you less to more liquid starlight on average. Now, they may break immediately. They may break days later. It all depends. And all you have to do is just kind of click it on top here, and it will start draining the liquid starlight into the light well, provided it is exposed to the sky. Now, here's the tip besides this. I mean, currently, your cheapest material is going to be these aquamarines, but they break so quickly and easily, it's a waste. If you can infuse them with your altar, then you'll definitely be able to get a lot more starlight out of them, and they're a much more populous material than your rock crystals. But if you can get yourself a linking tool and get yourself a collector crystal, whether it be in an altar or one that you've made yourself, and link it to one of these here, then place your item on top for it to start draining the liquid starlight, it will drain at a much faster rate, and it will not be any more detrimental than if it had no starlight to it. So this is definitely a way to increase the speed at which you obtain liquid starlight, and I highly recommend it. And on top of that, you should know that liquid starlight is actually a very, very cold liquid. It's almost that of gelid cryotheum mixed in with some other mods that might be in there. So if you're using pipes or transferring processes that are temperature dependent, just be aware that this might be a little too cold for those. Another small tip is that the light well can be accessed via pipes underneath it. All right, now if you've gone through my Astral Sorcery playlist, there was a point in there when I mentioned that you would be able to best duplicate a crystal or a rock crystal if it was less than maximum size by soaking it in liquid starlight. That's kind of the beginner's method. You want the advanced method, which is you want to max that sucker out at its highest size, drop it in the liquid starlight, just I've got some over here. Let's put this in here. And it's already max size, so why am I soaking it in there? Because it's going to have an even higher chance of splitting off. And if I have some, like here, I've got a celestial crystal with 95% purity. If I toss it in here, and I just keep on soaking that up until it gets max size, and then keep soaking more starlight into it, I have to keep bucketing starlight in, then it will, over time, potentially split into two crystals with a very low size rating, because usually when it splits it does that. But it will also, on the second crystal, have a very good chance of having a higher purity, so I might even be able to get to 100%. But anything over 90% is really going to be extremely powerful, and anytime that you want to use your celestial crystals or rock crystals to focus any kind of light, whether it be in a lens or as a collector or celestial collector crystal, you're going to want their size to be maxed out and a very high purity. A lot of people wonder, how do I get access to all the constellations? I can only see the first 5 major constellations that are out here. Decidia, Vorcio, Evitus, Armara, and Visio. In order to see the remaining ones, Octans, Mineralis, Horologium, Lucerna, Bootes, Fornax, and Pelotrio, you're going to need 2 things. One, you're going to need to be attuned, so you have to do this if you want to find the rest of the constellations, which you create this altar setup, jump in it, and attune yourself to one of the 5 major constellations. The non-major constellations are not attunable for yourself. The second item is going to be, you're going to need, of course, a telescope in order to find those other ones, because with a regular looking glass that you might find on the side here, this here, it will not find anything but major constellations, and you will need yourself a telescope in order to find some of the minor ones here, like, there we go, I think that's Bootes right there. Speaking of other constellations to find, it may prove difficult to find a specific one, namely Horologium. In order to find Horologium, it only shows up every 36 Minecraft days, which can be quite annoying and terrifying, in fact. So if you look up at the sky and you see some kind of display like this, then you know that you are seeing a solar eclipse. The following night is going to be the night that Horologium is in the sky, and that is your opportunity. So get ready when you see something like this. It only is in the sky for like a couple minutes, and you may see that the sun will start like fading over into like a partially eclipsed sky. But just know that that night Horologium should be showing up on your, any kind of items that you have, like your stellar refraction table, or if you are looking to just find it in your own telescope, that is what you're going to need to wait for. Now, to further that, if you want to actually find out what time it is in the world, if you're playing on a server, or if you're playing in a single-player world where you have permission or certain permissions enabled, if you type in this command, type time query, which you can actually just hit tab if you start typing Q, and then hit day, it'll tell you the day 36. And if it's a multiple of 36, then you know that it is, one of those days that Horologium is going to be up. So that is another way that you can find Horologium. Hopefully that'll help you. Not everybody will have permissions to do so, but hey, cross your fingers. And now we have some other things that may prove useful, and specifically a Starlight Infuser can best be enhanced with a Containment Chalice, which, yes, it is rather endgame Astral Sorcery at this point, but it will definitely enhance this a lot. One way is by having this nearby and having it filled with a bunch of liquid starlight. In this case, I have 18.4 buckets. And if I were to infuse this crystal sword here, then it would actually use up all the liquid starlight around here, which is 12 buckets worth. Remember, we've got 18.4 in here. So if I grab this wand and get it going, you see that it actually takes from this starlight, or the containment chalice, and it has 13.6 left. So it used drastically less, and this crystal sword is now infused. It's the same case with resonating gems or other things that you need to infuse on here. It will speed up the process tenfold, as well as use considerably less liquid starlight, therefore making your world and your everything just a lot easier to do. And of course, a containment chalice can be piped in and out of through the bottom. And now for a down and dirty, quick way to get to endgame Astral Sorcery. It's a little bit convoluted, but it's just so that you know you never actually have to become attuned to open up all the chapters. It is best pursued in this order here. In the Discovery chapter, we have a resonating wand. You'll want to make one of those, as well as a luminous crafting table. Along the way, you're going to be wanting to get as many of the ores as you can, of the aquamarine shale and the rock crystal ores. Next, we're going down into exploration, and you're going to need to make yourself a light well, put some kind of starlight liquid starlight making item in that light well so that you can get yourself a bucket, and then proceed to make yourself a starlight crafting altar. After that, we go into the attunement chapter, which is going to be a little bit different. You make yourself a linking tool. You use it with a celestial crystal or a collector crystal, possibly underneath one of these shrines here. And you use iron transmutation to make yourself some star metal. You will then have to make yourself a grindstone, grind up the star metal into star dust, and use that to make yourself a celestial altar. Then in the constellation chapter, you will need to make yourself a starlight infuser and use that to make resonating gems in order to make yourself the final iridescent altar. And that, my friends, opens up all of the chapters of Astral Sorcery so that you are familiar with it. Once you have attuned yourself and gotten yourself a telescope, you can then unlock all the constellations, as well as have access to all of those abilities as well. And the last part here I'm going to show you is how to make infinite resources of everything Astral Sorcery. That's right. It is very, very effective. Very effective. So if you go into the very last chapter, I'm saying very a lot, I'm sorry. If you go into the last chapter here, Radiance, you'll see that you can make yourself the containment chalice. It is going to be key for doing this. That is primarily that and a light well are the things that you're going to need for this. I, in this case, have a few hoppers. If you have some kind of vacuum chest type thing or a vacuum hopper, that would be wonderful. But you will need access to lava, liquid starlight, and these containment chalices. If you put a lava-filled containment chalice and a liquid starlight-filled containment chalice near to each other, they will interact and create, a variety of things. In this case, if I also have a light well nearby, and I decide to put a resonating gem in this case, which is my preferred process, it will over time start filling, and then it will start filling this containment chalice with the liquid starlight in it. You can see it has 23.6 buckets. This lava has 23.5. Both of the materials in which are going to slowly, ever so slowly, be used up over time, but they will make you a lot of materials in this double chest, because it will just drop into the world, and that's why I have the hoppers here. They're all feeding into this chest. Open it up and you can see at this point, it's been going for maybe a couple Minecraft days, maybe 3. I have 20 aquamarine shale, a rock crystal, and a whole lot of sand. These are the benefits that you can obtain from this simple setup. Just having these two nearby, something to collect these, because otherwise they're just going to drop into the world and therefore cause a lot of block spam. Imagine all this just sitting in the world. That would be bad. And if you have aquamarine shale, you just take a piece of this out, place it in the world, and then you use your hopefully fortune-infused pick to break this as such. Get yourself a whole bunch more of aquamarines. You can then infuse them over in your infusion altar, and then put it back on the light well, and you've got yourself an infinite source of liquid starlight, very simply, just at the cost of a little bit of lava, because this one is refilling. If you have the proper mantle equipped, you can then turn stone into lava at will. So it can be extremely effective for you to, over time, harvest all the rock crystals and aquamarine shales that you need without having to go out and harvest anything, as well as liquid starlight. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit by bit on Astral Sorcery, hopefully getting you to where you want to go ahead of everyone else on the server, or just at least a little bit of a quick start and enhancing things for you. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see ya.